geek'd Nights, what's poppin'? It's Adonis. We are back for another Does It Hold Up reaction for Bleach. This city really looks like a city. Shit.
So if you want to stay geeked, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one.
As usual, thank you guys so much for all the support. Welcome to all the new geek'd Nights that have been knighted over the past couple of days. Welcome to the fam, man. If you're brand new, leave me a comment with the hashtag FreshFam to let me know that you are here, you are new, you exist, and I hit you back, man, as a personal thank you. Also, we're on our way to 300K, man. That first goal of 150K is in sights. Bang. So if you guys want to join that momentum, join the wave, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you want to catch this Does It Hold Up reaction of Bleach unedited, there's a link in the description box with the Patreon for that swag. But we're here, man. Episode 3. So just so you guys are aware, if you guys are just tuning in for the first time, I've already seen the Bleach years ago when it had originally aired. You feel me? So it's been a really long time, and I'm going back through it as a rewatch, but more so as a critical, very analytical eye. Does this anime hold up? No, minus the hype, all the fandom. Does this anime hold up in 2020? By the way, I love Bleach, so my memory is like, yo, Bleach was fire. So what I'm saying is, does it hold up now, me seeing all these amazing animes 2019, 2020? Does this anime hold up? We're about to find out, bro. So let's get it in. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, man, I want you guys to give me all that comment, juicy action. Let me know down below what your favorite parts of these episodes are, theories, things like that, because we can actually have real dialogue about this stuff since I've already seen it. So you guys can put all the spoiler action, all that in there, and we can talk about what things happen in this episode that may be foreshadowing stuff in the future. But without further ado, let's get it in, baby. Yeah. Make sure this, yeah, we good. Just so you guys are aware, I'm gonna fast forward this. I talked about this music before in the last reaction. I love this intro song. Love it. Period. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. Yeah. Yep. He got that regen action. Right. So basically, I'm assuming, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like what she said is probably on some Grand Fisher swag, right? So yeah.
そやつによって複数のフォローが操られておるのだろう。それなら井上の兄のことも納得がいく。冗談じゃねえ。どうすりゃいい。なんかデザートでも食べよっか。ネギと羊羹あるよ。一緒に食べると美味しいの。なんだろうね。
That bear got slit, bro. Chill.
円楽がひどい。なんでこんな避けてるの？
I forgot at what point when it was that they could start seeing hollows and stuff. Like what, I forgot what episode it was, but if you guys remember, let me know in the comments. So interesting. So because he didn't get you, now he goes after Orihime. It's just a really weird motivation. Like, it's like, oh, well, since he didn't get the soul that he really wanted to eat, guess I have to settle for the person I love the most. And like, it's a really weird, it's almost like it's too convenient for the story. You know what I'm saying? It's really strange. It's a really bad job of, I don't know what this was supposed to be, like what kind of camera move this was supposed to be, but they're opposing each other. They're coming in towards each other, but the background is moving at a different rate as both of them. So I'm confused on like what was the camera angle you were trying to like imitate here, because it wasn't like a dolly move. It wasn't like a tracking shot. Like I'm trying to figure out like if you're on here and you're moving this way, there may be parallax of the background, but both of them shouldn't do this and the background me moving at a completely different rate. That's really weird. That's a very weird camera move. Dolly zoom. Drip, drip, drop. Chill. So was this the moment at which you was able to start seeing him? Because that shit went through her. Or the Henny looked dead, right? So she can kind of see it now. I'm your brother, bitch. So that's interesting too, because that's what they usually say is you forget, like when people die that's close to you, you forget their voice first. Like you forget how they sound. Isn't that crazy? He's like, did you forget how you forgot my voice already? And he over here getting his ass beat. I feel like that sequence was just, it's very, you know what I mean? Like it's cool. Like I just feel like the brother is, it's a weird hollow situation to me. Like it doesn't feel threatening. It doesn't feel imposing. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a threat. Like you would assume like, oh, is this a brother? Maybe it's going to be on some serious, like they said, like, oh, they go after the person they love the most, but it's like, it just doesn't feel threatening. Let me know if you guys feel the same way, like watching it again. Like, does it feel like the stakes are high? I watched you every day. So here's my thing. This is, now they may explain it in a second because I don't remember, but it's an immediate contradiction, right? We had Rukia say if they can't capture the person that they're after, the soul they're after, they automatically default to the person closest to them. But he's saying the reason, like, it's like, oh, well, it's just this girl you started seeing with him. It's almost like he's pissed off at her, which is why he started attacking her. You know what I mean? It's like, so now because the Soul Reaper is back, now his mission's back to, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to figure out, because like I said before, it's super convenient. It's like, oh, well, if that's the mission now, it's like, oh, well, the Soul Reaper's back. So my attention's back here. Like, it's just really interesting. That's one thing that is really strange about this last couple episodes. The sound is off, like the direction of where the screams are coming from. You hear his voice and it's right in the center. The audio is in the center of like the field. And then he stabs his tail and the scream is like it's coming from down the street. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in the room. Why does it sound like you're miles away? You know what I'm saying? Like that? Oh, it's too reverby. It's too like... See how close it is when she's coughing, how close the mic is?
てめえな。兄貴ってのが
Hmm.
ふざけんな。飲めばいいの上だ。誰のもんでも。
So anime, back and forth and back and forth. Yep. That's what you get for the back and forth swag.
ごめんね。お兄ちゃん。私のせいだ。私があの時、一人にしないでって言ったから。お兄ちゃん、お兄ちゃん、
Hold on, what? So is this something that can affect a soul? Is like that person's last wish, you know, like their request of you as they're dying? Is that what she's trying to say?
だから、いけなかったんだよ。
自らフォローになったわけではない。無理やりフォローに取り込まれたのだろう。なぜわからん。目的は貴様だったはず。強いフォローに取り込まれた魂魄は、そのフォローに操られてしまう。
But that's what I'm saying. A soul is manipulated. Look, let's just go back because this doesn't make any sense. A soul that is devoured by a strong hollow. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hollows here.
そのフォローに操ら
Chewing on this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm so confused by this concept. Devoured by a strong hollow that can, you know, basically manipulate them. But that's 6 hollows there.
つまり貴様を狙うフォローが
I'm so confused at this
貴様の
concept.
戦いづらい魂を取り
あの日、お兄ちゃんが買ってきてくれた。このヘアピン。私、子供っぽいとか言って喧嘩したよね。仕事に行くお兄ちゃんに何も言わないで。あれはお別れだったの。
Ding! Which is pretty crazy, right? Like that was the last thing that he gave her before he died, and that was the last thing that she basically fought with him about before. That's a pretty symbolic situation, which is why he's like so like surprised every time he sees it.
お兄ちゃん、行ってらっしゃい。
ああ言ってく
That's one thing that I do like about Bleach is the music with the guitars. Like I always liked that. Always. They made that one so pretty. Like as opposed to all the other hollows they end up killing, they just disappear in black dust. That was all shiny.
けど目の前で人が傷つくのを黙って見てられるほどはクズでもね手伝わせてもらうぜ死神の仕事ってやつをよ
Sun rays. Sun rays without affecting any light on the subject when the sun came out. God damn it. So you could really tell like the nobody know. I love that part. Anyways, like you could tell some of the animation stuff back then, like the level of detail in which certain things happened, like that part right there. Like having sun rays come on the screen and not affect anything in the scene. Like, so she's here. Look at her hair. Her hair does not change whatsoever. But the sun rays come like, hey, like the clouds moved out of the way. Her face should have got more highlight on this side. You know what I mean? So it's those things where looking at an anime now some of the higher quality, higher animated, shows, you would have that representation. Like if it was Fire Force, that would have happened. Like Fire Force has an amazing amount of detail in its animation. An amazing amount of detail. Regardless if you like the show or like the fight sequences is irrelevant, but the detail in the animation in that show is crazy, super crazy. But overall, this episode was actually fairly decent. Regardless if you care for the Orihime's character or not, isn't really that important. It's just more so along the lines of like her story at the moment, right? We don't really know much about her. We know that she lost her brother. You know that her brother and her are tied to Ichigo's family's, hospital. Cool, we know that. It keeps referencing these little hairpins. Cool. We find out later in the same episode that, she got them from her brother right before he died. That was obviously previously referenced in the previous episode of her having those in her hair because her brother gave it to her. So, they're tying up all these little mini story threads for her past and why her brother is now dead and a hollow. The things that I didn't really care for were still the explanation of how he became a hollow. It actually doesn't align with the visual representation that we see, right? You get devoured by a hollow, it takes over your body. There was 7 hollows that attacked him. It's very confusing on what that transformation is, right? So it's just, there's certain things there that, it may not affect the future story, right? Because it obviously shows later on that they kind of end up battling other Soul Reapers and like other captain level opponents and things like that, to where you're no longer seeing like the soul reaping. So it may not come to play or be an important part of the story in the future. But when you're trying to set a world and you're trying to set rules of this world and you immediately break the rule, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, oh, this doesn't really make sense. So it's just really interesting to see from this perspective. But, episode was cool. It was a cool episode. Usually certain animes don't have really anything that punches right off the bat, especially the older animes don't really have anything that's crazy until like episode 6 or 7. You know what I mean? So we've already had the first episode on here, family gets attacked. So we already had a punch in the face right from top, right? Cool. Just to kind of get your feet wet. Oh, we're exciting. But right now we're into the character development, the side characters, if you will, the Orihimes, the Chads, the Ishidas. So when we go through these next few episodes, it's probably going to be a lot of that. So we're going to be really focused on kind of how they paint these characters for sure. So let's get into this next. But yeah, it's just really cool to see like this again. From the perspective of watching the animes that I have just seen. That's probably the most interesting part, because you can't really appreciate how good an anime like Dr. Stone really is that has kind of little to no action at all. You know what I mean? Or an anime like Promised Neverland, or, you know what I'm saying? Animes that aren't really action heavy, but are literally just story and like, the idea of a world that's interesting without any action, and what they're able to do in animes like that, whether it be their animation quality, their illustration quality, the storytelling. So seeing something like this now, going back, you can definitely see a longer form anime, how sometimes there's just story threads that are kind of like the freak of the week or things that don't really pay off later. And we're kind of starting to see some of these things early on that just, they pay off really quickly, or they don't really make sense for the overall story that we know. So yeah.
それは格別に地味なりって一度その味をしめれば必ず虜になる
Chad is so strong, bro. That's a steel beam, bro. Something's wrong. Something's up with the bird, right? I be forgetting. I haven't seen this in years, bro. Like years. At least 10 years. At least.
大丈夫かよ、チャド。
You bleeding, bleeding.
血出てるぞ。
助けてくれてありがとう。僕の名前は柴田雄一。
朽木さん、こんにちは。
oh?
こんにちは。小島くん。あったり。まだちゃんと自己紹介してなかったね。小島水色15歳。趣味は女遊びだ。違うよ。ひどいな。こんな顔。
My dude over here cock blocking, bro.
ものすごい話だぞ。気をつけろ。
Ah! You ruined my reputation, bro.
それに僕は年上の女性にしか興味ないの。だから気をつけろって言ってんだよ。なんでもね。いやいや、そこにあるは美少女転入生の朽木さん。どうしてここに？イチゴが届け落として連れて。
Not Ichigo lured her here. Chill. Chill. Yeah. Just say good job, bro.
なんか嬉しいか。よくいらしてくださいました。
Nothing. Chat is so strong, bro. Ichigo's like, yo, chill. Yo, Ichigo's like, chill, bro.
変わってるな。ああ。ジュースないな。シャドウ。
Yeah. She's like, there's something in that bird. Yeah.
うわ、すごい傷。
ひでえなこりゃ。
You got stepped on, stepped on.
になったぞ。一体何がぶつかったこの感覚。俺はしばらくおとなしくしている。あ？もう大丈夫です。おこい。
Yeah. Isn't it crazy though? He knows all of the stuff that's going on. Like Ishin knows he knows everything that's going on, bro, and still plays his role. He still plays his role, bro, and nobody knows. Bah. You see?
ベッドの用意だ。
はい、おとなしくベッドに行きましょう。ね。はよう。お兄ちゃん、朝ごはんですよ。
あら、コリンはどうした？
欲しくないんだって。なんかちょっと体調悪いみたい。
No.
あいつが体調悪いだ。珍しいことだ。イチゴ！大変だ。シャドウ君が病室から消えた。
It's so interesting how like certain animes, like the people just escape from windows. Like you couldn't escape anywhere, any other way. You had to go through the window.
どうだ？
知らせなくちゃ。
不可能だ。あんな弱々しい私でも気配を感じる。それを離れた場所からたどるんだ。
Yeah, bro.
見つけた。こっちだ。今のは
Spirit ribbons. So interesting.
視覚化された霊気。
I don't think we don't even really see them a lot in the future, right? It's just so interesting, like how some of these things that we see early on, the story progresses to a point where we just no longer see certain things.
こんなにも成長しているというのか。どうにか巻いたか。
うちちゃん、もういいよ。もう。
大丈夫。誰か。カリン。イチコ。貴様はそいつを一旦家に連れて帰れ。奴は私が助けに行く。何言ってるんだ。 んなわけには。文句を言うな。
Don't complain.
そいつをここに置いていったことで、フォローとの戦いの最中に貴様の気が散っては困るのだ。
Why are you saying that right in front of the sister? You gonna neuralize her again? Because I don't remember her doing that again.
分かったらさっさと行け。いいな。ルキア。鼓動の33、総貫水。よし、これくらいの力は持っている。
Didn't work. What you think this is? Sound like getting leveled right now. You gotta go back.
さっき僕たちを追っかけてきたお姉ちゃんが僕たちを襲ったやつダメだよ。あいつにやられちゃうよ。待ってよ。おじちゃん。おじちゃん。
He's like, bro, you can't see ghosts. I ain't afraid no ghosts.
今の術知ってるぜ。死神の術だ。そうだろう。だけどあんたのは弱いんだ。スカスカだ。クソにうまかったな。あのガキとはインコに入っている霊のことか。そうだ。貴様はどうやらその霊をしつこく追い回しているようだな。なぜだ。さてね、あんたがおとなしく俺に食われるなら教えてやるよ。
I mean, if you let me eat you, he over here trying to get that mooch. Yeah, I know what's going on.
心配出て向こうに行けばお母さんに会えるって僕に教えてあげて。あの子をこれ以上一人にしないで。お願い一味。
To be continued. Episode was cool. It's definitely one of those episodes that I feel like, while it's a connected tissue to the next episode, the conclusion of this little mini arc with Chad, it lingers a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It just lingers a tad. I don't know. It just doesn't have enough oomph in it, even though they're chasing after, Chad with this bird. We don't really know fully what's going on with this bird until later on when, Corinne is basically saying, look, like, his whole family got devoured. It doesn't really talk about how he got placed in this bird. So it's like we have some instance of what's going on, but we really don't. Chad, obviously, we learn more about how he, his strength and his power later on. Same thing with Orihime. But early on, you have these characters that have very little very little exposure to hollows. And then out of nowhere, it just seems like they all can see them, or they all can be, you know what I'm saying? They all can interact. So, and I forgot how they explain it, and it may be in the next couple of episodes, but I don't know. This episode just felt like I don't know. It just didn't have the it factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have episodes that just have their exposition-y, and you're like, okay, cool, this is cool. But it doesn't make you be like, oh damn, I can't wait for the next episode. Like, this doesn't make me feel like, oh damn, I can't wait until what happens next. You know what I'm saying? It's not really a good cliffhanger. It's just kind of like, okay, well, I guess we'll figure out what goes on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like when you have like an Attack on Titan cliffhanger, it leaves you with like, what's going on? Like, it's a oh my god moment, right? And you're like, oh, what? You know what I'm saying? Like that type of moment, or like a Promised Neverland situation, right? Where like, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But there's moments where you're like, what? Like, even early on in the anime, you're like, what just happened? So you have these cliffhangers that this tried to have. It just didn't really deliver. And it's like, this is what I'm starting to notice right off top, where even though the first 20 something episodes is like exposition, world building, we're going to have episodes like this and the previous one that just don't really have enough oomph in them. You know what I mean? It's like it pays off over multiple episodes. It's not like the payoff is a cliffhanger. It's like the payoff isn't there yet. It might not be in the next episode. Then it might not be in. Okay, here we go. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like there's fat in it. So I guess it's like a better way to say it. But let me know your guys' thoughts on these episodes, man. You know, seeing this right now, you know, if I were to rate this like a 1 out of 10, I'd probably rate this episode a 5. It's just, you know, it's all right, cool. All right, let's see what the next episode is. I could have done without the episode. You know what I'm saying? Because the only thing we see in this episode that we haven't seen before yet is the spirit ribbons. But you know, later on, they don't really play a huge thing in the future of the anime. It'll play in this initial arc, and then obviously when they're, you know, as Ichigo's learning more of the Soul Reaper powers, we won't really see a lot of the Spirit Ribbon stuff kind of after the whole Soul Society situation. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just don't remember ever seeing it after that. But that's just something in my head. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Also, things in this episode that you guys thought could have been done better, or maybe things that you're like, oh, we didn't really need this episode, or you would have taken certain things out. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that in the comments down below. If you want to catch this unedited, link in the description box for the Patreon. Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And if you want to check out my previous Bleach reaction, that link will be right here to the side. All right, guys. Until next time. Stay geeked.